Okay, so before we get into everything that I've done and how the layout looks, I just want to go over a few things. So basically, I had a thought the other day. It was maybe about, okay, it was more than the other day. It was like Father's Day weekend, and me and the family went out to Niagara Falls, spent some time together. And I got thinking at one point, because obviously these long car rides, crazy, right? So just kind of thinking about how much I miss HO scale. And it didn't help too much because like literally 2 days later I was at the Rapido live thing that they did for the store owners, resellers, whatever you want to call it. And with all the amazing new product that's coming out, I'm just like, I wish I could do HO scale. And then I'm like, wait a minute, nothing's really stopping me from doing HO scale, so I'll just do that, and I can still do N scale. No big, I'll just combine the two. Well, I came out with a layout plan, and it'll work. It works for me. It works for what I need and what I want to do. The space that I have works, and the way that I did my bench work previously for my N scale, like you've been obviously following along for that, I can use bits and pieces of that. I just have to rearrange it in a way to make everything work, and then obviously build more bench work to add on to it and whatnot. So right now I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to show you what I've done and roughly show you what my plan is for both my N scale and HO scale layout. Okay, so when we left off, I was in the middle of making an HO scale layout, and I had about 3 or 4 modules done, and I was centering it around Ajax. There was that was the first part of it, but the second part of it, the part that I really wanted to do, and I was really excited to do it, it was actually North Bay. Had the shops and whatnot from North Bay, which house Ontario Northland. Has a little bit of everything there, and I really wanted to focus on it because, as you guys know, I love my Ontario Northland. They've obviously recently purchased a lot of Go Transit cars. They're not repainting them, but they do use them on their passenger service. So, I mean, it's possible, you'll see some of those, and CP and CN and a few others. But I still wanted to stick with what I like and what I know. So, obviously, nothing is changing with the road names. But when we go into how we're doing the setup, I had to take my HO scale idea and obviously make it larger. Now, you can see, obviously, my N scale. So I made like a loop. There's a loop there. There's a double outside and then a single inside. We'll come back to that. But I basically took all the stuff off the top of my modules, and there's a few of them. There's even 2 more that are 3x3s that I haven't done anything with yet, but I will. But I wanted to do this first, so that doesn't change. That's still there. That's a 3x3. This here was the other side of the station. It's a 1x5, and it fits perfectly over top of the couch, which I moved here. And then I've got a 2 foot wide by 4 foot long, and then one of my 3x3s. So it's like 3, 2, 1, and then back to 3. So this is basically phase 1 that I'm working on right now. That's going to obviously be a curve and goes that way. But when it comes into here, I'm going to put a nice decorative bridge in here. There's going to be an industry in here, and it's going to come right along and then come out. And there's going to be a switch that goes in with a passing siding, and then I'm going to have an industry here. So that's what I have planned out for my first part, and that's all going to be HO scale. But for the Ontario Northland side of things, because that's going to be part of it, but the train has to, go somewhere. I've made a 4x4 module here, which is pretty big. I still have to make 2 more because it's going to come all the way, and you can see the green tape here on the floor. It's going to come right up to there. I have to make 2 more, so there's 3 of them, and then a 2x4 for the very end of it. And it's like 2 feet like that, and then 4 feet that way, and it'll line up there. So basically that comes out 14 feet, or is it 4, 8, 12, 14 feet. Mental math, wow. And basically these 14 feet here, it's going to be an entire yard. And what it's going to be the North Bay shops. There's going to be a turntable, a few buildings, a lot of switches, with a double main that runs down here. I basically looked at the real picture and kind of dumbed it down a little bit so that it's not exact, but when you look at it, you're going to be like, that's North Bay. So that's kind of what I'm hoping. Now I've got about 2 feet here. There's a 2 foot here to the edge here. So there's enough walking room this way. And I find that 2 feet should be enough space to get through. And then you can, obviously it goes to 3 feet and then 4 feet. And then you can sit down there and you don't hit your head on the couch or the top part. And when you're sitting down there, you don't want to just look, almost basically eye level with this. So underneath, as you can see here, I'm going to put my N scale layout as a bottom shelf going right along here. So you can sit down, you can run some N scale. That's going to be, there's going to be a wall there in between, so you have one scene and another scene. I'll probably move the switching over to this side and then put the station on that side, but it's just how I have it for now. And then obviously I've got storage in the back there. Now the best part about all this, because a huge thing, the reason why I tore down my layout a long time ago when it was actually working and I was really happy with it, I was afraid that we were going to have to move at some point. But because this is all modular, these legs actually come right out. So this bottom module here is actually sitting on little, I don't know if you can see this or not. Oh, here. Sitting on little stumps that I put under there, and it holds it up at 14 inches high. So I just got to build the sub-road bed, and it's going to sit there. And then I just pull the legs out, take that piece off the top, they unbolt from each other, and then I can pack it up and it's good to go. And also, storage. It's always good to have storage, right? But you won't be able to see any of that once I'm done. So now, basically I'm just hoping to have my yard come along here, and it'll come right out to here. I'm gonna have more modules that run along the back wall there, and it's gonna go right to the corner there. And then I'm gonna have another part that's gonna come out, and it comes out flush with this wall here, because that gives me 2 feet right up against that. And this one's gonna be 3 feet wide. It's gonna run down, it's gonna run right back to here, and it's gonna go this way. And I'll probably have a city scene, gonna have a train station, bunch of things. And it's gonna do like a huge loop with an inner loop, There's going to be parts where it's single main, goes to double main, single main with you know, a siding, you name it. Yeah, I've got a lot of work ahead of me, but as you can see, most of the bench work for, you know, phase 1, which is here and here, so this loop, this is going to be a loop. Phase 1 is basically almost done. I just got to build a couple more modules, and then I can start with the lower cookie cutter thing for the train station and the N scale layout, which I'll probably do as a separate video series. And then I can also start on the HO stuff once I start getting track in and you know, cork and all that, switches, because I mean there's a lot of switches. So let me just step back here. I mean, you won't even be able to get this whole thing in the picture, but I mean, like, I've got a lot of room to work with. You know, I have a walkway. I'm gonna have a walkway here. It's about 2 feet, so that I have access to that door over there, and also this is a closet there, and all that stuff will be hidden under the tables. But yeah, lots of things to do here. I'm exhausted. But it just means that I'll have more operation time. I can, you know, do something in N scale, or I can do something in HO. If a new product comes out and let's say it's only available in N scale, well, I can still get it. I can still run it. I can show you, you know, how to use it, or I can tell you what I think about it. The same thing with HO. You know, if a new product comes out, then basically I'm gonna get it, try it out. If I like it, great. If not, tell you what I think. But I'm just trying to keep all this clean and organized as much as I can. Yeah. I can still use my backdrops as well. Those are all my backdrops so far, and I've still got like a roll of more. So I'll still be able to use all that. I was thinking about putting the sunset right across this back wall here, because it'll go right across. I've got 20 feet of it, and that's only 16 feet long. So I might just do a whole wall of sunset. Makes sense, right? And then just use my grassy knoll type thing for the N scale one. Haven't really decided 110% yet on that, but it's kind of where I'm leaning at this point. Other than that, let's do some more work, and let's talk trains. Getting a little bit ahead of myself here. I basically took a couple of pieces of thin plywood, just like I was doing with my original N scale layout, and I had raised them up from the underside, and then I had glued a piece of foam on there. I have my road scene on this side. I cut it down to a single piece of road there, instead of it being the full 2 pieces wide. And then I have my station, which is obviously on top there, and it basically it spans from one end of the module to the other end of the module, which is great. That piece fell though. That fell. It's not together. I wanted to still do the whole thing where I paint it and make it look good. Up here, I had traced out on foam the tracks for this turn here, because I'm not going to go any further back. And I also elevated the curve, or not elevated it, but raised it up. So basically when you attach this to here, by the way, I've got my bolts in there. Basically this is going to be the same height here as the station. So it's basically going to go right in there and then exit out and go. And this goes down, right? So that's a little bit higher because obviously it has to go into the station, but it's going to go lower here. I have to do an inner loop here for this track, which is going to be like a little lower, and then it's just going to go around to the other side there. But just kind of waiting on that until I can get this one here, this module, off the ground. This is going to be like a bridging module, just like a couple of my other ones, like that bridge module. There's no legs on it. I've got my bracings, that's fine. Might add a bit more support, but other than that, it's doing pretty good. It's strong and it's light, so that's the important part there. I'm making another one now. This is my third one. Well, third, coming this way, so there's 1, 2, this is going to go right in there, 3. And basically, it's going to go right up against it, and I've got my legs already made. And I've got the little piece on there that's basically going to go right here, and it's going to hold up this module. 14 inches up, I put the brace, and it'll sit right on the top of here. So what I do in situations like this, where let's say for example I need a bunch of those pockets, and or leg pockets, and when I say leg pocket, I mean these things here. It goes on the inside and it holds the leg in place, but also you can pull the leg out when you want to take the module to go. And I've got a bunch of them. There's like, there, they're down there, up there. So basically this is what I do. And this is just a tip for anybody who has a lot of cutting to do. This was 8 feet long at one point. And I cut all these here out of the one 8-foot long piece. It's a lot of cutting. So basically, pro tip, if you measure, because it was 3.5 inches. If you measure 3.5 inches from the block to the blade, it's not like, I just literally pulled the tape measure out now, but if you measure it, put a block there, put something to hold it in place, like a clamp or whatever. This saw here comes with a little clamp built onto it. Very handy. All you're doing, you're sliding the block on, right to there, cut, take the piece out, and you get the exact same cut every single time. And basically I got enough to do 3 modules out of one 8-foot long piece, and it was only like $2-3 for one of those. And basically what that does, and I'll show you because I've done this so many times already. I have a bunch of these made. They're 3.5 inches by 4.5 inches, I believe. So you take one, you put one there and one there, and you sandwich it. And that's basically how you make it. But what I do to be a little bit more precise, because this is the same stuff that your leg is going to be, I put that right in the middle, sandwich it together, make sure there's like, a little bit of room. You got to give for the expanding and contracting of the actual wood given the season. And you make yourself a sandwich. You're not screwing the middle one in, but you want to put screws holding both that one and that one on both sides, right? Because the wood's got to hold to both sides. And then you just slide the middle piece out like that, and then you got yourself a leg brace holder, one of those things. That thing right there. See? And then depending on where you're using it, so I was able to get enough to do the bottom part, the top part, so the equivalent to this here, like a bottom, a top, and then even an extra set for maybe the 2x4 module on the end here, which is great because, I mean, the more pieces I can get out of one, the better. And it's less stressful that way. Like I got all this stuff cut. I got all these cut the other day because I had some long pieces of ply, and I basically sat there and chop all the way down, and you know, now all my pieces are ready to be put together. That module's ready to be put together. And we should be able to get that one off the ground within the next couple of days. Once I get my drill, I can't remember where to put it.